XHOU 11 Studios, it's Great Day Houston. And now here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. Thank you very much to our live studio audience for rolling out of your warm bed this morning, because that takes a lot. I rolled back in a couple of times and went, oh, I got to go to work. All right. Well, it's no secret that Americans have always loved food, and our presidents are no exception. Ronald Reagan was known for his sweet tooth. Bill Clinton had his frequent stops at McDonald's, Mickey D's, and the Obamas cherished their garden on the White House lawn. A recent study looked at what our presidents ate and found their choices reflected the waistlines of all Americans. Could this predict what our nation's health may look like in the coming years? We're talking about that and more in Medical Hot Topics. And on today's panel, please welcome dermatologist Dr. Ann Reardon and podiatrist Marcin Bakla. Good morning. All right, so as the president goes, sometimes so goes the nation. So this idea of that, what they eat, we have a tendency to eat as well. I know President Bush didn't like broccoli. He said, I don't like broccoli. I will never like broccoli. I'm not going to eat broccoli. And then a lot of kids are saying, I don't want broccoli.
I don't want
Anyway, yeah. So kind of the reflection of how we go in our health is kind of what our leader does.
And I agree. I think that they are a huge example for the rest of the American public, and the way they follow their diet and exercise program is so reflective on, and also it's an example for the American public about what they choose to do or not do.
Right, right.
And we see also throughout time that as the nation has had some struggles economically, oftentimes the presidents are eating more of a bland diet. They're not eating some of the more expensive foods. There were presidents, Thomas Jefferson is known to kind of have a fine taste for food, had imported French foods all the time.
Yeah, and by the same opposite side, James Polk didn't like French food. Right? And he asked for cornbread instead at a banquet. Right.
And I think what's best is in the recent years, maybe in the last 2 or 3 presidencies, we've gone from seeing Bill Clinton, who had a weird desire to eat McDonald's all the time, had it brought in from the Secret Service, to the late stage of President Bush, and especially the Obamas, really refocusing the nation to have a healthy diet.
Yeah, in fact, those 2 presidents were considered 2 of the healthiest presidents that we had. William Howard Taft and Theodore Roosevelt, the round body types were in at the time. See, that's when I should have been around. The round body types were in. But Taft, though, was so round, he actually got stuck in the White House bathtub at one point. So that's why the White House bathtub was much bigger. Dwight Eisenhower had a heart attack, and so Americans were like, okay, pay attention. If somebody like this who has access to the best health care in the world can have a heart attack, then what happens to the rest of us as well? Okay, and of course we know the Obamas, one of Michelle Obama's big kicks was, let's rearrange school lunches, let's try to make things, kids healthier, and the whole bit,
She's really gained popularity, too, by having her own garden, growing her own food, and they say that's something that's going to stay in the White House really for many presidents to come.
Seeds. And she did a tremendous job, I mean, as just as an example to young people and children about eating healthy and focusing on a healthy diet, and fruits and vegetables are important. I mean, and I think it made a big difference.
Yeah, and that healthy diet shows up in every part of medicine. As a dermatologist, we know when we don't eat healthy, it shows up on our skin.
Absolutely.
Right? As a podiatrist, you don't eat healthy, type 2 diabetes, and that becomes a big problem with feet. Okay, so, well, I think that garden's going to get trumped because President Trump said he's a fast food connoisseur. He's like, what can I say? He likes KFC, McDonald's, taco bowls, and the whole bit. So there you go. Okay, this next study showed that hypochondriacs are more likely to have health problems. And so we're kind of wondering the impact of your brain to tell your body it's sick even if it's not, and then it kind of manifests the actual illness.
And the opposite can also happen. So in patients who believe that they're healthy, who try and be healthy, are going to live healthier lifestyles. They're going to have diet and exercise. If someone is a hypochondriac, they can still perhaps be more cautious about things. If they start to have the sniffles, they're quickly and very promptly going to get it checked. when that gets out of control,
get it checked, or instead of getting it checked, go, oh my gosh, I must have Ebola. I know this is the beginning of Ebola right now, right?
I think that's a spectrum too, where it's one part where you're vigilant, and then the other spectrum of it is when you're over vigilant, and it can also cause stress, and lead you to develop health problems and heart problems and things like that that will actually manifest itself because of your hypochondriasis.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like more of an emotional type of deal. It's like, I need attention right now. Did you know I have Ebola? Right? And it's funny because my mom, hopefully she's not like watching right now. But when I had my brain aneurysm and I called and she's like, what was that, honey? I go, I had a brain aneurysm that burst, and she goes, oh, how do you spell that? I think I had one last week. It's like, trust me, you did not have one. But she has her medical technology book where she can flip through the pages and go, okay, what is it? Ebola, right?
And it can guide people to get on to Dr. Google and WebMD and some of those resources, which can be bad sometimes if they take it the wrong way.
Because sometimes the symptoms are so crazy that you think you have everything from like a minor, like a little cold, to you have 10 minutes to live. If you look on, like when you start looking on oh my gosh, I could have this, I could have that, right?
And I think it affects people's quality of life, too. I mean, it prevents them from going out and enjoying the outdoors and being outside and being with other people because they're so afraid they're going to catch something as well. So, like I said, it's a spectrum where, yes, you're careful, and you take care of your health. On the other hand, it can be very detrimental and cause you to stop enjoying life.
Yeah, and if you always think you have something and you just, first of all, people don't want to hear it. It's like, keep moving. Then you check the emotional part of that and see why you feel that way. But you mentioned that there can be the opposite effect. There are people who feel like, in my head, I'm always so busy. I don't have time to get sick. So I go, okay, I'm getting this, but I'm going to picture myself at the end. It's done. It's over with, right? And usually I'll get through it quickly. And so it's like, I just pretend it's not there. So I'm probably the longest living person without treatment who has Ebola. But this next one's kind of interesting. We know that people feel like there are medicinal properties to marijuana, right? Well, another study says that magic mushrooms, these aren't the ones that grow in your yard, are they? But magic mushrooms, there's an ingredient used to treat anxiety and depression in cancer patients that they feel like could even be better than what the medicinal, whatever it is that they find in marijuana. So, little Johns Hopkins study.
Dr. Reardon and I both agree that pretty much almost all pharmaceutical elements that are out there, all of the medicines, all the pills that we are taking as patients, most of them do have a derivative from something from nature.
That was the beginning of pharmacy, right?
And so even the strong narcotics that we use for pain control, they're derivatives from opioids and poppy seeds, essentially, which have been anciently used for pain. And so it's important to realize that most medicines are derivatives of something found in nature.
This means don't go out and necessarily get mushrooms, because what they even did with the ingredient in marijuana is that they isolated what that one ingredient was, and it's in a pill form. People can take that to take that one, because then you get all the extra things when you're smoking it. But anyway, that's that debate there.
That thing that came out in that article, I think that's important to stress, was again, it was a very well controlled, well monitored study. The patients,
Johns Hopkins, very well recognized,
monitored by the physicians, throughout this entire period of time, and asked them repeatedly how they were feeling, and their blood pressure was monitored and things like that. So,
But then again, I'm wondering, could a good glass of wine or cognac do the same thing? Like, you monitor their blood pressure. I'm fine.
And that's a good point. Do you need to,
Anyway, don't pick the ones out of your yard. It's not the same kind. They're not magic. The ones in your yard are not magic.
Well, and the truth is, the research found that it did work. The ingredient that was found that they were utilizing, it did have pretty positive effects, but as she said, it was well controlled, and for all of these things, including cannabis and
once
marijuana.
again, as a layperson, I'm like going, it dealt with your depression. Well, of course it did.
Sure. As long as it's well controlled and the FDA is involved, then some of those things can have some benefits.
All right. Well, coming up, lower back pain has numerous effects on the body. We take a look at the causes and prevention after this.